I'm giving. All right, Kiwi. It seems like we might be rolling on this one. Thanks for joining Kiwis Road. This is Mr. JJMIV. Here. Ah. Up. Come on. And Kiwi, who's get your. When I say up, I mean up. Now say hello. Say good morning. Say whatever. And Kiwi. I think the theme that we're gonna try to, because it's just thirsty. Drink. All right, we'll get a drink. I think we'll use it as the channel as a medium between just the vast media and people. And so through the thrill of the chase, it provides what I've been saying as an icebreaker. And part of the thrill of the chase is the why, which is part 4 of Project X, and why people are going after this chest. They're casting in the same places that Forrest may or may not have visited, looking for something that he may, or I believe is having, to me, belief is having faith or trust in something that you experience or through an event. And so, yeah, I think there'll be an event where somebody sits there and finds the treasure chest that Forrest had left out there, wherever it may have been. And one of the things that connects people through social media, through the thrill of the chase, is the why. And I think it plays a big role in trying to better understand the secret of why Forrest placed a treasure trove out there for other people to find. Not just one person, but more than one, in a sense. But I understand. You have to bear with me. This is, again, just my thoughts. I think that's part of the second part of Kiwis Road. The thrill of the chase, because it's everybody has their own thought and opinion. Understandable. Everybody has their own perspective, which is understandable. Everybody has. I suppose I should have turned this down a little bit so it may not seem like I'm yelling, but I like the background. This, and, you know, it's all about the why, I think. Again, just my thoughts. When I talk to the wife, it's always an absolute. And you can't have an absolute. There's just got to be balance. You can't have everybody does something when there's one person who doesn't. No absolutes. But in my language, in my universe, I use absolutes because I think a majority of people, I mean, there's so many good people out there, and there's bad people too, you know, so you can't, it's a balance. Why? There's a balance, I think, in the whole thrill of the chase. But I suppose one of two things: I can either just continue talking, trying to explain Project X, and you know, I think it's a good why is communication between people, searchers, people who are directly in contact with Forrest, people who third, fourth, fifth, keep getting this. Everybody who has heard of the thrill of the chase has gained a certain perspective to figure out where they would or would not search in their mind or on the ground to find a secret place. And I think the most common ground, the most balance that you can have, because too focused, everybody else is just, you know, the outside world in this labyrinth. That common ground, the balance, would be what of the four states. And yes, I understand that combination of states, which makes absolute sense, which I understand. But for the sake of this, and this is why I'm requesting the storylines for May the Thrill of the Chase, because I understand that Wyoming and Montana are connected, and that the water flows through there. That, you know, when he describes flywater, it's the why. And so ultimately, your dot kind of represents that you're hoping that you find the treasure chest within that state. That's part two, states. Common balance between every searcher, because as a state, you get one, because in order to get Forrest, you have to reach out and see each state. And so when people do that, they'll get a different perspective of why Forrest would have chosen states, single state, in this project for Project X. So that I'm gonna pause right there, take a breath. Project X is a social media experience to show collaboration on a median ground where there's balance in life to life and death. That there's all a balance. Even in our relationships at home, with our kids, with our pets, with our coworkers, with people at stores, with strangers. It's just a ripple effect that we have that goes out and affects other people. And it's the why we do that. Why do you open the door for somebody? Is it just because you're trying to get through? Or is it just because you're trying to be nice? Or is it because you're trying to get attention? Or is it because, you know, it was something that you were taught to do, that now you are sharing that lesson for other people, showing that it's the why. It's to let a person know that you recognize them and that you see them, and that, I guess, you know, for me, you know, it's the feeling of knowing that you exist and that you are truly wanted, not just by yourself, but by others, you know. And so that's what I'm saying. It's a fine balance between the physical world and the metaphysical, with just kind of bridging that area, I guess, because it's all about a why. So, well, let me write the. I'll forget. This Kiwis Road, and with me and Kiwi, he helps me to just talk through my thoughts, and Ben has helped with that too, so logically, you know, the places he's been, the things he's seen, the experiences that he's shared as lessons, so that other people can learn something and pass that on, whether it be a good notion of opening a door because you cared to open the door for somebody. So Project X, if you leave a comment, header, Project X, I'd like to add to this board, which I've already done, with their given title to the state. So what I was saying was your dot is your ending state force would ultimately hide that treasure chest, that physical portion of the world. 6 parts to Project X. Part 1 is who you are. Your social media will be added into Project X so that you can see it grow by that social media tree, and by state that everybody feels is really connected to Forrest Fenn or states, and to get that storyline, that one storyline that really connects everything for you in the entire thrill of the chase to why Forrest Fenn would have placed a treasure chest within that state. And that's about as far as this conversation kind of goes, because it's really based off of a balance of just open up an icebreaker, because there's your story, the searcher's story is so much important to the Forrest Fenn story, because Forrest Fenn grew and lived in a different time period, in a different lifestyle, something totally different that we'll never, as searchers, be able to do, which is understandable. But there are things that he has learned and taught that we have learned and taught from other people, not just him, which gives us ourselves a why of why we do things throughout our. If think of opening the door as a sentimental thing or an emotional connection between people, that's the emotional side. Why? If you're opening the door because it's logical, because you're going in, and you're just opening the door because somebody just happens to be right there behind you and you're letting them go in, it's the lifestyle that the searchers have learned. And the comparison is interesting to learn the why, because it opens up not just a conversation, between people. And then some whys, logical, is that, artifact hunting and stuff like that. So I'll go artifact, Kiwi. And, but first, again, I gotta breathe. I always digress. And that's okay, because this whole thing, all of this, if I haven't even seen if there's anybody even listening or watching yet, which is quite okay, because this is my thought. This is my world. This is my universe. And we all have it. We all have our own perceptions of life. Good, bad, ugly, whatever it is. And I'm just trying to share a little bit of not just of me, of what I learn and teach, but what of searchers learn and teach. I mean, they bring such good skills. Davio, with his paintings. I mean, I told him that one double heart, he should have named it, I think, well, no, I'm going to save that name for something else now, because it's been an original name anyhow. So Davio, Teardrop of Love. That would be a cool name for that double heart painting with the ripples, because it's, to me, that painting, when I see your painting, Davio, the greater whole of life. In our lives, there's an event horizon. And everything that we do, from beginning to end, there's everything. There's an event horizon, even at, the black hole. But the water, I told a friend, your mind is an anchor, your body is a ship, and the world is your ocean. So I want to see that. It's the embodiment of love, like a teardrop touching down on the world, causing a single ripple effect of a love of one way, shape, or form that just spreads out. Just like the things and actions that we all do, that we think, say, and do, that cause a ripple effect that will either get us an emotional connection to the whole situation, whether it be copper work. I think who Copper Dan does some copper work there. I'd like to see an eagle swooping down so huge that in front of him you see a mountain range of Heart. I'd go with Heart Mountain, but in Yellowstone. But I think any mountain range with a big ass American flag right down that eagle's chest, just coming down right over the mountain. That would be a cool piece for sure. Mountain range like this. So I mean, I'll erase these new things, except for these. These I'm gonna try to keep the same until this project expands. And I know Project X is about communication and sharing stories, and I just ask that you bear with me because my thoughts are all over the place. Because I don't just think of one thing; I think of a lot of things going on at once, and it's sometimes can be overwhelming. And digress. So an eagle, here's his head, here's his wingspan, right? Coming over, he's got his big old town, right? And then he's got he's got the American flag just coming down this, and then of course you have the mountain range, nice river running through it or something like that, just painted on a nice copper piece, you know what I mean? Having the copper coming out like that and coming out, blah blah blah. It's just an eagle coming down. Anyway, that's that. I'm gonna try to simplify up to part 4 of Project X, so that people can start adding their information. And I need help trying to. So it's Google Sheets, and you say "oh no" when you drop something. Oh no. So you drop that piece of driftwood, you have to say "oh no." Project X. People who go boots on the ground and search for Forrest Fenn's treasure, pick states, and I'd like to find the balance and the why through 6 parts of gathering information from searchers. Number 1, part 1 would be your social media tag. Mine's Kiwis Road. There's Davio 22. There's House Husband Diaries, K-Pro, Calazar, Gypsy's Kiss. Shelly and Toby. Bill Gorman. I can go through this list right now, and I will. You know why? Because this is my thought, my idea. This is something I think a lot of people can get involved in and just have that balance, common thing between people. I mean, there's Jason Danton, now Sasha. Congratulations. You know what I mean? House, the Hunt of Riches, World Famous Gamer. You shop, we ship. Paul's Treasure Search, Logic Chaser, Alan K, Man Alone. The flip side there, seeing there's, Thrill the Chase, The Blaze of Glory, This Isn't Fenny Anymore, Treasures Galore, Octopus Skid. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion and their own thought, their own perspective. And instead of being so negative or positive, just balance ground and communication. Yeah, I think Forrest picked this date because it was logical. I think Forrest picked this date because it was emotional. Everybody has their own opinions. And to keep the conversation staying alive at a balance, keep it to just 4 states for now. And then, on your own, you can dig deeper. But keeping the communication open for information. Jillian Clayton. I had Sasha Johnson, but it's now Sasha Dent. Illinois Ghost, Copper Dan, Thrill of the Chase, Give Me Title to the Gold. Honey Badger. I think I said him already. But I mean, there's who's that one guy? The one that's the PhD. Yeah. He knows. He knows who he is. Of course, people know who you guys are. People know who searchers are. One way to get known, regardless of how far you get known or not, is by leaving, a comment, by making a comment, by saying, hi, this is me. I'm a searcher. I'm looking for one of these states because, I think there's some kind of connection. So, again, how I digress, because this is all just a thought coming out. And if I go back to this, I watch it, I see it, it's, it is what it is, you know what I mean? It's entertainment, but it's serious, there's a balance. I've said this like 5 times, but for real this time. Okay, Project X, leave a comment with your social media name, your secret state. What state do you feel or think Forrest mentally and physically placed his treasure trove? His treasure trove is actually in a state. We can all agree on that. So that's part 2. So part 3, and when you answer in the comment, please put P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, P6. I'll leave a link to the data sheet that I'm using, Google Sheets, to keep track, and all those names I just mentioned. I'm going to add that in there because they all, one way, shape, or form, have shared what state they may be leaning to. So I can't add their state until they leave a comment with their state, because I don't want to put false information. And everybody has a state. It doesn't matter where within that state. You miss by an inch, you miss by a mile. Part 3, single story. Okay. What one story from the thrill of the chase, Too Far to Walk, or Once Upon a While best ties an emotional and logical state to hide a secret? In your comment, P3 for Project X. In order to keep this simple, you gotta cut out the scrapbooks. You gotta cut out the interviews. You don't have to. It's all useful information. That's what I said. But to simplify getting down to a state, I would have to simplify just what he's given me had he passed away, which is just his books, and a map that I can find anywhere, which I have a couple good ones, and you guys seen it. It's on YouTube. We've shared our location. We've shared it. That's why we're out here to balance now, because we figured out why, for us, is a better communication between people, because that's what will really last longer than the treasure is our names in other people's memories and thoughts. Huh, Mr. Kiwi? See, people gonna be like, oh yeah, that crazy guy in the black hat with the green bird, which we ain't seen yet because he's too busy down there. Come here. So there was a problem. So it wasn't a problem. It was just, it was just cute. He's gonna shit. I have wipes. Trust me. So I may not sit there and be wiping because I'm too busy talking and sharing. Then yeah, he's gonna shit on me. It's a shitty world. Who cares? Who cares? It doesn't matter. This is just my universe. This is just my world. You gotta have a story. You don't have to have a story, but it makes it easier and simple to condense the balance between communication. If you give me a story, the thrill of the chase, Flywater for me, add it as a ring, because that's one ring of either emotional or logical connection to that state, to Forrest. Part 4, P4, your connection status. That's what this video is for today, or for this period in time, my 5 seconds, is what is your connection to the chase? Is it logical or emotional? And when I say what is your connection, it's not what you think Forrest connection to the thrill of the chase is. It's what your connection is to the thrill of the chase. It's what makes you think about it when there's other things to think about. If that makes sense, because you're trying to solve a puzzle, you're trying to solve a problem, and maybe it's not a problem. Maybe there's nothing to solve. Maybe it's just a matter of being somewhere, just being, and we're all just being. Flywater, it shows me that Forrest is there, being somewhere in a place of time of very strong contentment and emotional connections to a logical place that he traveled as a child going through Yellowstone. It shows a pattern through just his stories of why he picked states to connect them. You know what? I'll just stop there so I can have P5 something to talk about. P7 is when I'm quite alright, because I get that a lot. I will sit there and now go on to this thing. Interestingly, so yesterday when I went metal detecting, which is part of following Forrest Fenn, Thrill of the Chase, Lewis and Clark, history, Native Americans, I found these beautiful pieces of work. I think this one might have been a skinning blade made. This one has a nice look on this one. This one you can tell has been napped real nice. They were working on this one. But the best one I found yesterday was this one, which is a little used for birds, I think. Small game because of the size of it. You used to have some tweezers out here, but yeah, found these three yesterday out working metal detecting. So got the music off, and I'm gonna go to the channel and see if there's anybody even commenting, and just kind of go through some of the stuff that I found yesterday, and hopefully somebody will type their info. Project X, P1, P2, 4. This is my name. This is the state I choose. I want my dot in this state. Oh, and my story is, Montana Gold, or in love with Yellowstone. I love with Yellowstone. That's supposed to be in. Fix that real quick. Now it looks like a W. And then put that, hey, there's my single story. My Wolf for Me, maybe. See, people have picked these states, but they haven't really given me a storyline from just those 3 books. I don't care about any other story. There are no scrapbooks, no interviews. I just want stories from the book that you would have read and said, hey, yeah, I think this story is the one that connects me to the state. Keeping it simple here. P4, what is your connection to the chase? Logical and emotional. Each searcher has a logical and emotional connection to the thrill of the chase on why they're doing this chase. And, it's interesting to find out why. Why are people, do they have that strong emotional connection? Or do they have that logical connection? Like, I'm going to find this because logically he did it this way, and logically it lines up this way. Yeah, a lot of emotion can line up things too, So it'll be interesting. So now that I think I'm done spieling about Project X, leave a comment, like, dislike. It doesn't matter, because in a way you watched it. So thanks for watching. We appreciate that. And we hope that Kiwi will see people down there, wherever it may be. For us, it's the medicine. Matt's thirsty. Thirsty. When you say thirsty, drink. Yeah. All right. Well, the thing probably even froze or something. Who knows? Who cares? It's all right because it's our universe, brother. This is how we roll this neighborhood. Hey, J.A. I don't know if you're still stay on. And do you have a story that you would tie? And why? Why would that story? Is that story an emotional connection for you for the state or you to the state, or is it a logical connection between you and your state? So yeah, go ahead. Hi, I'm J.A. Street. Well, yep. All right, J.A. So which state, as a common balance, would you pick? So this now becomes the harder part of this Project X. For me, is I'm not very good with talking to people. On a whatever kind of thing, just get. But obviously, there's something about this that you like. There's some kind of connection that you like. What's your ground? What ground do you think Forrest picked? So I'm waiting for a response. Somebody else just jumped in the room. Project X, giving states and storylines, and if it's a logical, emotional connection, here. So Kiwi's like tap 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 tap. So this now is over to you guys, whoever's in the room. Give us a state. I'll put your dot down. Write your name down. Add you to the Project X. Come on, Jay. What's your state? What's your state? Right? It's your state of mind. It's the ideas and thoughts are now in your mind in regards, because now you have that added information. But you would have to agree that through the thrill of the chase, through the states that he's visited, one state would really hold that treasure chest. You know what I mean? Which one state for you? Ow! Oh my God! I just got a piercing by parrot. Oh my God! Yes, I'm alive, mister. It's like being shot. I just got shot by a parrot. Carter. See, if that don't wake you up, I mean that's gotta. You guys are gonna enjoy that one, man. Like Cindy and Skylar, they laugh all the time. My God, that's not a perching post, brother. You can't hold on to that with your teeth or your beak. Here, you're gonna hold on to this. Yeah, there you go. State. Rob, you getting in on this Project X? Write down on the count. Write down in there. Type down. It hurts. I mean, Project X. Type down your state that you think Forrest hid his treasure chest in, and give me a storyline from just his 3 books on the one that you think ties Forrest to that state. And give me a logical or emotional reason that you think Forrest has between his state and the state that you pick. Mine's Montana. And my storyline is Flywater. Somebody else had Montana Gold. And then somebody had In Love with Yellowstone over in Wyoming. I've had 4 people pick New Mexico, but I have yet to add a storyline. Like, each ripple is a story from just The Thrill of the Chase, Too Far to Walk, or Once Upon a While. I'm trying to simplify this, And so I'm trying to see the connection between a state and forest, and why? Is it the emotional or logical? But yeah, mine's an emotional connection with Montana because of the emotional connection from Flywater, and the logical connection too, because it kind of lays out that area with forest. And so that's my line. And your line is, it don't matter when it's found or not found. See, that's the best thing about this whole Project X is until the chest is found, some of the things is it's always going over some of the same things, you know. And I'm kind of stepping away from all that clutter, from all these different point of views from people, to simplifying the thrill of the chase down to a common balance or ground between searchers and other YouTubers and the Forrest Fenn. And so I think conversational wise, you know, states are a nice common ground to be like, yeah, why do you think this state is more, you know, or less, or, you know, what's that logical or emotional connection? Because that's teaching somebody something, and yet you're learning something else from somebody else, especially combining a perspective of people, searchers, to see where they, you know, why they're in this search period. What are you trying to do? You trying to get snapped by that? That's dangerous. Oh, now he's trying to eat Forrest. Forrest 2.0. Let me do Montana left there. So, Rob, would you say that? So, J.A., I'm asking the searchers. Project X is about the searchers. It's giving it's giving each searcher just that one little something. It's hard to explain, but it's your dot, Project X, that other searchers are going to see. They're going to see your state. They're not. If you miss by an inch, you miss by a mile, right? I can't repeat that enough. Just because you know somebody's state, and even if you learn just one story, and you learn that whether it's an emotional or logical connection, nobody will ever see your spot that you've interpreted through all the information that you've gathered. They'll never see your spot. I think it's almost impossible because they'll never be you. This, in a sense, is giving people a chance, I think, to kind of just be like, hey, you know, I think it's in this state because blah, 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 blah. And then, hey, what do you do? It's a conversational piece, an icebreaker between people that are either familiar or not familiar with the thrill of chase. And it's a good way to kind of, you know, make new friends one way or another. You know, it's the thrill of the chase. It's not about not about the search or quarry that they found, blah, blah, blah. It's about the people. I think it truly is. It's about the searchers trying to leave a mark. And this is a mark. 5 seconds, your story right there is a dot summed up. That's what I've been looking for. So Project X is a searcher's story summed up in 5 seconds by placing a dot on a state. Because in 5 seconds, you can share valuable information about yourself and about Forrest that nobody will ever know unless you share. You know, it's who you are as a person and as a searcher through life with a Forrest Fenn. So, Our Lady of the Rockies. So, Rob, are you going? You got a state yet? And then how about you, J.A.? You got a state yet? You gonna put your 5 second dot down? Bam. Add your name down onto the Project X, because shadow casting a state. We're all picking a state that we think, and we're all there. You know what I mean? We're all sitting there and traveling. Instead of following Lewis and Clark, we're following Forrest. We're doing exactly what Forrest was doing. Well, this is in a sense just kind of like saying, hey, This is where I've been, and this is why. This is my shadow, either mentally or physically, out there in the world. And what's your story? So come on, Montana. There we go. So people who add to the thing, and this, I hope this gets bigger because I'm changing this whole area up anyway. Keeping it the same, but I gotta fix my shed up some more. And we'll put you in the center, unless you have a storyline. What's your story that you like? I mean, what's your connecting story? Because it might be different than Flywater or Montana Good. It might be the same. Hey, what are you doing, Mr. Get off of there. Rob's trying to chat with us. So is J8. So is the other 3 people that are in here. The other 3 people that are sitting there in the shadow, come out of being in the shadow, take 5 seconds, give me your state, give me a story that connects you, that one story between the thrill of the chase, once upon a while, too far to walk, and let me know, was it an emotional connection or was it a logical connection? See, you're thinking, cancer, which, so, Rob, I don't think, so when I say, so the book, the whole series, you could almost say was based off of cancer. In order to put a storyline, to keep it simple, within the thrill of the chase, that's why it's only those 3 books. Those 3 books, there's titles, actual titles, because within those certain titles or stories are these states only mentioned. And so the only way to find the balance is by the storylines that bring the states. And so one storyline would really have to really connect you, you know what I mean? And so through just the books, what would be your one storyline that would connect you? Because each storyline is a ripple on how it affects either you or Forrest in an emotional or logical sense, right? Tears in Heaven. I call it Tears in Heaven. Where's is that in Once Upon a While? Too Far to Walk? See, I haven't really fully read all the way Once Upon a While yet. I skimmed right through that sucker. I figured I learned everything I needed to know in just the thrill of the chase. Now I learned a few more things in Too Far to Walk, which really helped seal the deal as far as our mental journey following Forrest. Tears in Heaven. See, now I'm going to see, unless you tell me that Tears in Heaven is a title, a page in a certain book, no line yet. Jay, what's your state, brother? Come on, 5 seconds. So there's 7 people now in this chat room. I got dialogue between 2 so far. That dropped down to 6. Somebody left. That's okay. Conversation's still rolling. So you're saying that the state in which Fred has the most connection to, you would have to read his books. I would think so. So if you have a word, in order to know what a word is, you have to learn the definition. And there's so many different definitions. In order to know Forrest Fenn, I think you would have to hear the stories to better understand Forrest Fenn. That's just what we think. Rob, are you saying you don't think so on what? Like, just out of curiosity, like, you don't think so what? And so I think as you read the stories, they give you a logical, emotional connection between the story and Forrest, but yet they also make an illogical, emotional connection between the searcher as well. So, I mean, it makes logical sense to you that it made logical sense for Forrest to, mine more for me to leave and go down to New Mexico and start anew there, or the storyline of we'll go with Montana Gold. I mean, just there's aspects that logically or emotionally connect between Forrest's lifeline, between his entire life, that you can't. In order to simplify Forrest in all this, I think is just trying to get that story with that state that he had that connection with to hide a treasure chest, you know, and everybody has their own opinions, and so it's just it's a way of working Project X is just to give that balance and communication between people, regardless of if they think the treasure chest truly is in one of these states. It's still something that you can learn emotionally and logically. Information, Project X is a communication of information between Forrest and other searchers, so that when you meet another searcher, you have that common ground to talk about, but yet you can go off onto your own stories that bring you into it. I mean, I found this lead weight out there metal detecting yesterday. It looks like it's a 5 on there, and you can see it's still got the fishing string. Sorry, buddy, you alright? My hat gets you? And so, I mean, I've never seen a lead weight like this. What are you doing? Are you alright? Are you okay? You think you want this? Oh, you got feather out. Now, this is the second time I found this. And so, I think this is off of like a horse tackle, for a horse. But, so yeah, when I was working yesterday, metal detecting, the reason why one of the reasons why I go out there metal detecting and stuff is it gives me something to talk to people as an icebreaker. It's something that people can relate to one way, shape, or form. I mean, if you think about it, this horse tackle from when they were crossing over through the Snake, trying to get from one place to another, that's how they stepped it up. They went from horses to carriages, trains, then automobiles, and then planes. I mean, you can see that they're growing from the water and they're stepping out. Just like Forrest Fenn, searching through the Lewis and Clark. The natives, the game animals, to simplify, they're getting so close. You start by the water's edge and you just work your way out. So it leaves an interesting conversation piece between people with Project X, But I mean, all of Project X, and all just my thoughts that I'm trying to, get a better understanding of Forrest and why he would have put his treasure in a certain area. And I think other people could use that. Stop! What are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah, thinking and knowing is definitely two different things. And knowledge and imagination are different too. I'm using my imagination and stepping away from the knowledge that people are sharing and trying to combine it all instead of just looking at it from one point of view, my point of view, or trying to look at it from Forrest's point of view of his life through just the stories and the thrill of the chase in the States versus everybody else's point of view now out there about why they think Forrest would have even went and everybody has their own different point of view and perspective on why he did it, where he did it, when he did it, why he even writes the way he writes, why he makes the mistakes he makes, and they're looking, I think, too close instead of stepping away and finding that balance to find that common ground, because obviously you have a 1 1/4 chance of finding out. Yeah, he had this kind of logical connection with New Mexico, so yeah, it makes sense that he would have buried a chest down there. You know what I mean? It is using knowledge that I learned from other people of why they think somebody might have done something. I mean, you can apply this perspective here to anybody. You apply this to yourself. You can apply it to, Mr. JC. There's this perspective here, Kiwis effect on Kiwis Road here is a different perspective of how to look at something, a situation. Using imagination just to kind of to see what other people are getting the greatest interaction between knowing something, sharing that information back and forth so that we can use our imagination. But hey, since I don't see nobody wants to add their information, no states or stories, maybe not this time, but maybe next time when we get back on here for part 5 of Project X, the lifeline. Looking at the lifeline. So since the numbers are dwindling, that's all right. Mister, we need to go get something to eat, huh? Lunchtime. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for sharing your information, sharing your perspective, because everybody shares it, especially when they type something. So either in the comments, leave Project X, the P's and the numbers, 5 seconds to answer a few questions, and I want to see this get more dots on here. And I'll see why not. So more storylines will make this bigger. Everybody's perspective counts. It only takes 5 seconds. So with that, thanks for watching. Like, dislike, don't. It's all good. These are just my thoughts. This is just Kiwis Road. So I'll see you guys out there.